Every business has a spread of customer value. Let's take software, for example. There will be some software customers that spend nothing. They stay on the free plan forever. And there'll be others that might be enterprise clients worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars a month. Or take professional services. Some leads just want as much free advice as possible. Others will pay you millions of dollars a year for years. And this pattern plays out across every business that we work with. Not all leads are of equal value. But here's the problem. Most websites and marketing actually inadvertently appeals more to the lower value leads than the higher value leads. It uses more generic messaging, more generic proof, more generic calls to action. Now you're probably thinking, Tim, that sounds crazy. Why would anybody do that? But there's actually a series of quite perverse incentives which result in that happening more often than you'd think, and maybe even with your marketing. We'll talk about that later on though. But today we're talking about the 4 things that you can do to attract higher quality leads through your website and digital marketing. And all of this comes from our experience working with hundreds of businesses across every imaginable market. And we've got loads of examples and stories to show you throughout. Okay, first thing we need to do if we want high quality leads is attract the right type of traffic. We need the right people on our website in the first place. Those that are ready to spend and ready to spend big. So how do we get them? Well, often search and AI search provide the highest quality traffic because when people are ready to buy something, they search or they talk to ChatGPT. Now, our goal here isn't just to get as much traffic from Google and as much traffic from ChatGPT as possible, because if we get the wrong type of traffic that then becomes leads, our sales team is going to have a sad time. What we want to do is get the right traffic, the people that are searching for the right things and the people that are most ready to buy. So how do we do that? 4 ways. First way, high commercial intent keywords. A high commercial intent keyword is something being searched for by somebody who is ready to make a purchase. This business, Service Professionals, came to us in July 2025 and said, we need help. We're showing up for our brand name. When people see the vans driving around, they're searching for Service Professionals, but we're not showing up for the sorts of keywords searched for by people who are ready to make a purchase that don't already know us. This business offers various home services in New Jersey on the east coast of the US. So what do we do to generate Service Professionals some high quality leads? Well, we first needed to identify the types of things being searched for by people in their area. Then we needed to beef up their service pages so that they were ranking for these target keywords. We also wanted to make sure that they were showing up for people in their target areas. So we built a bunch of location pages that explain the locations that they work in. And it worked. If we look at their non-branded search visibility over the last year, we'll see it's increased significantly. Total number of keywords they were ranking for when we started, 295. Total number today, 916. With the total number of keywords on page 1 having gone from 14 to now 133. This increased their traffic by 200%, meaning a 3x in organic traffic. Now, by the way, sometimes the fastest route to high quality traffic for high quality leads is actually paid search, but this comes with a caveat. Paid search can be the fastest way to drain even a well-stocked bank account if it's done wrong, particularly for high commercial intent keywords, because these are the ones that all of your competitors also want to target because they're the ones that turn into money fastest. So if you're going to run paid search for high commercial intent keywords, you need to know that your website is working super hard at converting that traffic into leads, and you need to know your numbers. How much is each lead worth to you? What's your conversion rate from lead to sale? What's your profit margin on those sales so that you can make sure your cost per lead is stacking up? One business that uses this lever is Aged Care Bathrooms. They install mobility bathrooms for people with mobility challenges. 2 types of customer here. We've got the people with the mobility challenges themselves, and we've got their children. Now, we run paid search campaigns targeting very specific keywords in order to generate high quality leads. Now, because we know the numbers and because we know the landing pages we're driving to are really good, we're able to do this very profitably for them. 6,278 leads generated from paid search in the last year at an average CPA of £71.27, which based on their numbers, their margins, their sales conversion rates is good. But did I mention before you do this, you need to know your numbers. The third way to get high quality traffic to your website is through specific audience targeted landing pages. Now, most businesses will have different segments of their audience, and some of those segments will be worth more than others. So you can make specific website landing pages targeting those audience segments in order to get more leads from that type of customer. Again, let me show you an example. This is our client Elite Renewables, and Elite Renewables sells renewable technology like solar panels, batteries, and heat pumps. Like many businesses, and maybe like your business, there are different values of clients for this company. You might have a solar installation on a very small house which might be worth £2,000 or £3,000, all the way up to multi-100,000 or even £1,000,000 installations of systems in commercial buildings. So how do we make sure that Elite is attracting leads from those high value customers? Well, if you Google commercial ground source heat pump installers, you'll see that Elite is ranking position 2 on Google, and it's the first business mentioned in the AI overviews. One of the reasons for that is that there is a separate page on the website targeting commercial heat pump installer keywords, because this is a subset of their audience which has very high value. Now, there's not huge volume behind this keyword. There are millions of people searching for commercial ground source heat pump installers every week. So why would we build a page that has probably relatively small search volume behind it? Well, the reason we do it is because whilst there aren't loads of people searching for this term, the ones that are typically very valuable. And because it's not as competitive as some of the more general terms they might be targeting, we can rank for these things really quickly. And because this page is targeting a very specific segment of their customers, we can tailor the content on that page very specifically to that audience, but we're going to come back to that in a minute. The fourth way that you can get really good quality traffic to your website so you can generate some really nice leads is by getting visibility in these AI overviews. We've found consistently across our clients that some of the best value leads come from AI search like this. Now, it might be AI overviews, it might be people searching in ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Claude, but typically when somebody is coming onto your website having found you in AI search, they've already been doing their research. They might be pre-qualified by price, they might be pre-qualified by readiness. They've had that conversation with the AI tool, they've established that you are a good solution for them, and by the time they click, in many cases they are ready to go. It's not uncommon for us to see the conversion rate on this type of traffic be 3 to 4 times as high as the conversion rate on regular search traffic. We're not going to go into loads of detail on how to get this sort of visibility because we've covered it in other videos and podcasts recently, but go and check out our channel if you want more information on that. Okay, so you've got some really good quality traffic coming to your website. How do we start turning that traffic into leads and making your website work hard? Well, remember earlier I said there were some kind of perverse incentives which actually mean that most websites and marketing isn't really targeted at the highest value leads, it's actually targeted often at the lowest value leads. This is where it's time to explain where that comes from. Let's say that you're a marketing team or a marketing agency or the CMO. One of your KPIs and your targets might be lead volume or even your website conversion rate, i.e. the number of people that turn into leads for every 100 visitors that you have to your website. Well, if you said to me, Tim, I want you to build the highest converting website possible and generate us as many leads as possible, how could I go about it? I would minimize the entry requirements by not asking people to fill in any more detail in that form than was otherwise necessary. I'd add loads of proof showing people that had made millions of pounds by filling in multiple email addresses, and I reckon I could probably get a conversion rate of over 50% on that page. Now, this is an extreme example, but let's say that that was the entry point to a business that offers managed IT services, and you had a sales team on the back end of that trying to sell those leads into managed IT services. Obviously, it would be a nightmare. That sales team would hate you. Yes, it's an extreme example, but you can see how giving me that target of maximizing lead volume and maximizing website conversion rate would end up with this weird situation where the leads will be complete trash. Your situation might not be that extreme, but this is a spectrum, and there are versions of this playing out across marketing teams across the world. Marketing is incentivized on lead volume and website conversion. Sales team just wants sales. They don't want to have to wade through loads of leads. They just want the high quality leads. How do we fix this challenge? Well, this is where your website comes in. The job of your website is to reassure your perfect target customer that they are in the right place. You want that feeling that they go, oh, this is for me. So how do we do this? Firstly, we need to know who your target customer is. You need an ideal customer persona, an ICP profile that you can run all your marketing through. I'll talk you through how we go about that in just a minute. But once you've got your ICP, you need to make sure your ICP recognizes themselves throughout your website. So let's say that you're targeting well-off women who are aged between 50 and 65. Guess what all the pictures on your website of people need to be? It needs to be well-off women aged between 50 and 65. Or maybe you're selling to law firms. Well, guess what all the testimonials and case studies on your website need to refer to and what your text needs to reference? Law firms, right? We want the law firms to look on your website and go, yeah, cool, I'm in the right place. This is for me. Maybe you're selling B2B and you have a company size criteria. You work best with companies of a certain size. Again, you want to signal that on your page. Maybe there are locations that you work best in or locations that you don't work in. Again, signal that on the page. Minimum budgets, project size, anything that you can do to make your customer feel like, right, this is perfect. That's going to improve your targeting and get you more of those high value leads. Okay, let me show you a couple of examples of this, starting with probably the most extreme example I've seen. This is Griffin. They are a new bank in the UK and they have this wild page on their website called eligibility. And the purpose of this page is to filter out the customers that aren't good for them and filter in the customers that are good for them. Look at this. This is a page all about the types of businesses that Griffin does and doesn't work with. And there's a pretty extensive list of companies that they don't work with. Is this going to impact their conversion rate? Absolutely. They will have a lower conversion rate because they've added all of these eligibility criteria in. They'll also have a pretty low conversion rate because their call to action is contact sales, but that's another topic for another day. But if you've got limited sales team resource, this approach is an albeit extreme way of making sure that the only leads that get through to that sales team are pre-qualified. Here's another example. Transparent came to us offering a range of procurement team services, but they weren't really calling out their ICP on their website, which means it wasn't really performing particularly well for them. We took them through a whole process called the Brand and Positioning Accelerator, where we talk to their team, we talk to their customers, we do competitor research to identify what means the most to their customer. Who is their perfect customer? What are their pain points? What are they looking for? Why do they choose Transparent? This allows us to completely re-engineer all the messaging about this business to make sure that when their target customer lands on the website, they go, this is for me. And this is the website that we built. It speaks to their customer much more directly. It talks about the pain points that their customers experience. It emphasizes the parts of Transparent that mean the most to their audience. And it talks in a language that makes sense to their perfect customer. And by the way, this approach works really well. In the first 4 months of this website being launched, they've gone from having basically no leads coming in through their website to 51 high quality leads, typically between 5 and 6 figures in value, because now their audience could see themselves on the website and knew that Transparent was the right option for them. But it's not just enough for your audience to see themselves on your website. They also have to have enough trust that you are the right choice for them. And that's step 3 in our 4 steps. Here's the thing, freebie hunters and low value leads will spray and pray. They'll put their details in loads of different websites because it doesn't really matter to them and they don't have much loyalty to any one of the sites that they've put their information on. But the highest quality leads typically do a bit more research first. They're more careful because they are closer to the purchase. You'll know this yourself, right? When you're about to make a purchase, you're a lot more selective about who you're talking to than when you're early on in the journey. You don't really know, you don't really have much commitment yet. This means that qualified high value leads need a different type of trust in order to move forward with you. And we need to make sure that all of these trust signals are showing on your site. So what are these trust signals? Well, maybe the best way of demonstrating these is to show you a page that has all of them. We're going to go back to the Elite Renewables website, to the ground source heat pump page. So let me just set the scene and explain who the ICP for this page is. This is typically high-end homeowners that have money to spend spend on a very efficient ground source heat pump system. They will have large houses, sometimes with lots of land. They'll be really interested in the technology, and they'll want the best possible installer to install it, because this is a fairly rare thing to get. Super cool, but fairly rare, so they need a lot of reassurance. So let's look at the trust signals built into this page. Well, straight away we see this background video showing different elite projects, and there are a lot of large projects in here, so immediately that starts to tick the box of this company deals with large projects like mine. We've got the accreditations and certifications. Lots of logos here, some from recognizable clients, different manufacturers. This gives reassurance that this company works with lots of people, and I wouldn't be the first person to put my trust in this business. We've got pictures of real installations. This is not this company's first rodeo. They've done this before, and they've done this multiple times. And the pictures are selected specifically to appeal to a target audience that quite likes the technical aspects of this. We've got information backing up their choice about a ground source heat pump. This is going to resonate with that audience. We've got, again, pictures of big projects, some land outside someone's house. If I've got lots of land outside my house, I recognize this. We've got some videos, again, of big, complex projects, closing a road to install a heat pump for a swimming pool. This massive mansion with loads of land having this huge ground source heat pump system. This represents the target customer. And then we've got case studies, again, backing up the types of projects that Elite carries out. As if that wasn't enough, we've got reviews pulled through from Google. So, relevant case studies, testimonials, client logos, results, return on investment if that's what you're selling, awards and accreditations. If you have a clear process or a custom methodology, good to include that on your website as well to give your clients reassurance that we've been through this before and we've been through this enough that we have our own way of doing things. The goal is to prove that you are the best fit for this person's problem. Before we get to the fourth and final step to generate high value leads, if you need help with this and you want to work with a company that understands the difference between maximum lead volume and high quality leads, then you can request a digital marketing review from the team here at Exposure Ninja. When we go through this process, we'll talk to you about your marketing goals, we'll analyze your existing marketing, and we'll map you out a prioritized action plan for the next 12 months that generates you more high quality leads. This service is completely free, but not everybody is eligible, so you do need to apply for it. You'll be in good company, by the way. Some of the world's largest businesses have applied for this free review, and we consistently get feedback that it is one of the most useful things that marketing teams do. All you need to do is head over to exposureninja.com/review and fill in the short form. Like I say, not everybody is eligible for this, so you do need to apply. So head over to exposureninja.com/review to apply today. Okay, step 4 in our process of attracting high value leads is to qualify leads before they contact you. And again, this is particularly important if you have a sales team which has finite time and energy to be able to reach out through the leads that you're generating. Now, the benefit of qualifying leads before they reach you is both so we can protect your sales team's time and they can prioritize the leads that are most likely to turn into business, but it also gives you as a marketer feedback about the type of marketing that you're doing that is generating the highest quality leads. So how do we qualify leads via our website? Well, there are really 2 ways of doing this. The first is to have different calls to action for whichever stage your website traffic is at. Let me give you another fairly extreme example. Let's say that you own a chain of dental practices and you've got some content on your website, what are dental implants? And this is ranking really well on Google. People are typing onto Google, what are dental implants? They're finding your post, they're reading about what are dental implants. And then you have a call to action that says, book a free consultation with our top dental implant surgeon. They can fill in their details and they book an online appointment with your top dental implant person. What's the problem here? Well, the problem is that someone who 2 minutes ago searched what are dental implants is very unlikely to turn into a customer. That person who you're giving the free consultation away with is high value and has finite resource. So you're giving a very high value call to action to a potentially very low value customer, and you're going to get a lot of volume for that. That top surgeon is going to be spending all of their time explaining to people what dental implants are. This is a dreadful use of their time. Those leads will be garbage. Now, that's not to say that booking in consultations with that person is always going to be a bad idea. There are types of leads that would be a very good use of that person's time to talk to, but we've got a mismatch here between the intent level and the value of the call to action we're offering. So the solution is to have multiple calls to action at different stages. People who come onto your website looking for information who are very early on in the process, we might give them checklists or guides or calculators to use, and that way they can qualify themselves, they can learn what they need in order to become a more qualified lead later on. Someone who's in the middle stages who said, yeah, okay, dental implants sound good and I'm in this area. What we need to do then is give them slightly higher commitment calls to action. We might be giving them downloadable guides and case studies. We might be giving them webinars in certain industries. We might be giving them free orders. For the higher commitment people that are ready to purchase, they are on the high intent pages on your website and they look like they're ready to go. Now it's time to book a call, get a free quote, start a consultation. The second way that we want to qualify leads on your website prior to them contacting you is through staged forms. I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. The first example is in the sort of online therapy space. Now, the online therapy space, I'm thinking websites like BetterHelp and Talkspace. They take you through very long initial questionnaires before you're ready to book with a therapist. Why do they do that? Well, part of the reason that they do that is they want to make sure they're pairing you with the right therapist for your solution. What they don't want to do is ask you a couple of very thin questions and then match you with a therapist that's completely wrong for your situation. They have to pay the therapist to have that consultation. You've spent your time having a consultation with a therapist that might be a complete mismatch and has no expertise in what you do at all. That's why they take you through this extended process. And it's not uncommon to see 8 or even 10 stages of inquiry form before you're ready to book a session with someone. Now, there's a couple of things that they do to nudge you along this journey so you don't get bored and drop off. They give you a progress bar so that you can see this process isn't infinite. They give you statistics along the way to kind of encourage you along. But their job is to pre-qualify you as much as possible so that by the time you talk to a human, they're pretty confident they've got a read on your situation. We've done a similar thing for our client DSLD Mortgage. We've driven them over 11,000 mortgage leads and their sales team is incredibly busy as a result. So there's actually an 8-stage eligibility check in the lead form that we built, which takes people through qualifying criteria and allows DSLD to prioritize their leads gold, silver, bronze, or gray if they're not quite sure. That means the sales team can spend their time on the leads that are most likely to turn into clients and the highest value clients possible. Here's an example of a business that does both. They have calls to action at different levels and they pre-qualify in their calls to action. This is Lloyds Bank and they're offering a £5,000 deposit mortgage, which is a low deposit mortgage for people who are looking to buy a house. Now, the danger here is that they're setting a very low bar. So loads of people are going to be interested in this, including people that aren't anywhere near eligible for this mortgage. If they drove everyone to a book a consultation with one of our team, that team is going to be completely flooded and they'll spend their time talking to people that aren't eligible. So what they do instead is they drive people through calculators and agreements in principle first. That allows people to establish and qualify themselves to make sure that they're going to be suitable for this mortgage. So by the time they get to a Lloyds member of staff, both the lead and Lloyds are relatively certain that this is going to be a good fit. So this protects the sales team's resource because they're only spending their time talking to people that are qualified, but it also gives the marketing team a bunch of really useful data about where the highest value leads are coming from. So there you have it, how to generate high quality leads in 4 steps. Step 1, attract the right traffic. Search and AI search are fantastic and we looked at 4 ways of doing that. Step 2, make sure that when your ideal customer lands on your website, they know that they're your ideal customer. They see themselves on that page. Step 3, build trust. Remember, these high value leads, they need trust signals. They need their objections handled before they contact you because they are closer to the purchase than the people who aren't really committed yet. And step 4, qualify leads before they contact you. This is even more important when you have a sales team and there is a finite resource there. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, then check out the video on screen now, which shows you how to get ChatGPT selling your brand, not just mentioning it. Until next time, see you soon.